All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monte The Pharaoh, only seen here. Well, again, no studio, so out of my man cave and Jimmy's Wahoo Saloon. We've got, can I call you guys the new Pitbulls? One half of the old Pitbulls, the other half of the new and upcoming Pitbulls. How are you guys?
Hey guys.
Awesome. How you doing, man?
Glad to have you guys on. Glad to have you guys on. So what's been going on, man? What's new?
Just like Will Ferrell, shaking and baking, man. That's what we're doing. We're getting fucking ready to go. Pitbulls are together, 1 and 3. Always remember number 2, keeping the legacy alive. That's why you guys all got to go out, get on Amazon, Walmart, Pitbull Unleashed, man. It's number 5 right now in wrestling books. Everybody out there, go out and buy my book.
Gary, tell us a little bit about the book. What made you decide to write it? Who was the author?
Number 1, the reason why I did the book was because I was actually coming back with the Pitbulls. So I wanted to give my perspective on my life and how it was when we first started and what we went through and what we had to do to accomplish what we accomplished. And it's like I'm starting a brand new chapter right now. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we went to New Zealand and worked the British Bulldogs. It was the American Pitbulls versus the British Bulldogs. That's what got us over in the business in 1988, 89. You know, because boys talk to each other, especially the guys from the 80s. You know, and then when we started working for Vince in 88, 89, we met all them guys, and they were all cool with us because, like I said, the Bulldogs put us over, and then Fonseca put us over, and that helped us out a lot because that gave us connections with Kevin Sullivan and the Wild Samoans, King Curtis, Don Baracco, and before you know it, we like I said, not only were we going to the Monster Factory, we were working for Vince McMahon, so we were learning. The same time we were going to school, we were learning how the business was on the road. We were lucky enough to do all the tri-state areas. And we would go on tours once in a while with them. Like I was in Austria, me and my partner Anthony. We were great as hell, man. But we were going against Jimmy Snuka and Brutus Beefcake, so it was great. For 2 weeks, we're learning from them guys. And that's what was good about how we did as a tag team when we first started. Is we got to go on territories for Jerry Lawler, territories for Jarrett. George Scott, Paul Jones, so we were working 6 nights a week, and we made it to Japan in 90. We started in 88. So it took us 2 years to get to Japan. So that just tells you what level we were at that time.
Gary, could you please help me out here? Can you paint the picture of your relationship with Vince McMahon? Because this has always puzzled me, and you'll forgive me because I'm curious. You start with Vince. When let's fast forward to when Paul sells ECW and now Vince has it. You see Sabu get an opportunity. Well, not much, but at least we saw him post purchase of ECW. We even saw Sandman. We saw all these guys from ECW, these legends, getting a shot. But I didn't see you. What was your relationship with Vince over the years? I'm very curious as to why we didn't see more of Gary Wolfe with Vince.
Because 1990, I had a meeting with him, and what it came down to was I said, "Look, this is our Japan contract, and I understand you have a contract for us. Can you match what New Japan is paying us?" And he said no. So it was okay, no big deal. I mean, like I said, Gorilla Monsoon actually hit me in the leg and whispered in my ear. He's like, "Don't worry about it." He goes, "When you get back from Japan, you're going to be worth more money." So I didn't care. I got to go to Japan way before a lot of guys did, bro. And we were only 2 years in the business, and we had a job in New Japan Pro Wrestling. We were the Mad Bull Busters. That's what they called us there. So at that point, I mean, honestly, we were always going on tours, Puerto Rico, New Zealand, Australia, Austria, Germany, England. It was crazy. Like, we didn't really need to work in the States at one point. I mean, in the beginning of our careers, that's how it was. I mean, it was very strange. You know, we was always work for ECW because we started with Tri-State Wrestling Alliance. I mean, we were working for them in '88. We were kids. We were still green as grass, man.
So did you work for Tri-State and then Gordon and then eventually Heyman? Is that how it worked?
I worked for Tri-State, which was Todd Gordon and Joel Goodhart, and all the independents, NWA. I mean, you name them, we worked for them because Larry managed me and Anthony. So, you know, having a manager, you know, you're going to get more work, especially if it's Larry Sharp. So it was definitely, you know, he only managed guys that graduated from his school that he knew was going to make money. You know, he was managed at that time. He was managing The Godfather, who was Bear in Japan, and he was already managing Bammer because we came in as those guys were just leaving. We were just coming in. Candido was there when we were there. Chris Candido.
Hmm. I gotta ask you and Chris, or we'll call you Pitbull number 3, right, Chris?
Yes, sir.
How do you guys? What make you guys decide to become pro wrestlers? Like, how does that decision get made?
Well, God, I always liked pro wrestling. I always liked it. I always respected, especially tag team wrestling. And growing up, I mean, Pitbulls were my top 5 to watch. You know, Killer Bees, Heart Foundation, Pitbulls, Demolition. Um, what intrigues? It's almost it's the sense of the amount of athletic ability that's needed to me is what intrigued it. My interest in it. Um, you know, being able to do things that wouldn't normally be humanly possible. That's probably it.
You know, Chris, you mentioned you were a fan of that's an interesting mix of tag teams. Most of them are bruisers on your list, but there's the Killer Bees in that. Do you think that wrestling has gone too far away from the bruiser factor? Because let's face it, Pitbulls are bruisers.
Yeah, I mean, I wish the tag team division was taken more serious in certain promotions. Um, I'm glad that they're making a comeback, but I knew for years, uh, right after the Raw era, um, they basically got rid of the tag team division. It was obviously still around, but they weren't really growing it. Yeah, majority of them are bruisers, but there is a technicality like with something like someone like Demolition. Everything makes sense in their matches.
That's
Any
true.
there is no wasted move in their matches. In every match
True.
they've had,
Yeah.
same thing. Same with the Pitbulls. Same with what Anthony and Gary did. They worked in a tandem way that they knew what the other person was going to do 3 moves ahead.
Gary,
I mean,
how,
we were as a tag team. What we were capable of doing was adapting to anybody's style, and that's strong style, which is New Japan. That's AAA, which is Lucha Libre. You know, you name it, old school Tennessee. You know, we knew Puerto Rico. Going to a show in Puerto Rico and, you know, heels are in a locker room, baby. You don't even talk to the guy till you get in the ring. So, you know, we had to learn. That's why we got along with everybody pretty much, because everybody knew we could handle their style.
right?
You know, nobody had, I mean, they would just sit and talk to us and go over the match and not even, I'm sure they sit there sometimes and say, yo, do you know how to wrestle Lucha Libre to some guys? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They never asked us that. Like, they knew. Shit, man. I mean, that's just how we were. I mean, even guys that were taller than us, like the Bruise Brothers, 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". You know, for us to make psychology and make that match make sense, that's, you know, I'm 5'9", my partner's 5'10". I'm 5'10" and a half with my boots. He's probably almost 6 foot. We still look like midgets next to them guys, and they had lifts. You know what I'm saying? So to make psychology make sense, you know, every time we worked a tag team had to make sense.
Let's fast
Yeah.
forward to now. How difficult was it? It obviously speaks volumes for your new partner, but how difficult was it to go through the process of thinking about putting together a new Pit Bulls with the greatness of the original tag team? Was that difficult for you to go through that process?
No, once I got to the point where I was getting sick and tired of being sick and tired of watching tag team wrestling,
Ooh.
I said enough's enough. You know what I mean? I'm going to find somebody. I found somebody who actually put the time in, put the work in, went to numerous famous schools to learn how to work. And look at him. He looks just like him. It was meant to be, man. You know how many
Yeah,
people wanted that position, that's been asking me to give him that position? Come on, Vince tried to steal my gimmick. I've owned Pitbulls has been established since 1987. Period. End of story. The Pitbulls. Trademarked 1987. Okay? That's why I put an end to that right away. You know,
so how did that come?
Vince called us up in 1998 to come back. You know what I mean? He put us against the Headbangers. He was going to put Torrie Wilson with us. Everything was set, and then he just backed out. That's just the way he is. You know?
Was this after the trademark dispute that he asked you back, or did the trademark?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Mike, this is hilarious. What the heck's going on here with Vince?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because
No, 98. No, he didn't do the trademark gimmick until probably the 2000s.
Yeah.
Okay.
It had to be the 2000s because Paulie was there. Paul Heyman was there. See, what I think happened was Triple H asked Paul, "Yo, do you own that gimmick?" And he probably said, "Yeah." You know, I called them 1 and 2 because really we were a Rabid Rex and Psychotic Spike because that's what Don Morocco called us. But regardless, I trademarked the Pitbulls anyway, so it didn't make a difference with 1 or 2 or whatever they wanted to call us. My lawyer, it just took my lawyer 2 letters. You know, the first letter I sent them, they laughed pretty much at me. They had they were really cocky about it. So my lawyer took it real personal and told him, ha ha, you think you're funny, motherfucker. You got 14 days to start, or send my client a check in 14 days. So, I mean, they had the tag team titles. Okay, that's how hard they were pushing them just to get them over because they couldn't. The first night they came out, they got booed out of the building because they tried to do it in Philadelphia. Believe me, they were taping SmackDown then. It wasn't live. I got the call that night. The guy told me, "Yo, Kid Cash and Jamie Nolan came out as the Pitbulls, and the whole fucking place booed them out of the building." And I was like, "Are you fucking shitting me?" So I called Kid Cash, and that's how I found out everything. So it was Triple H's idea, and Kid Cash even brought it up to Triple H. Look, bring Gary in because Anthony passed away. Yeah, so it had to be in the 2000s. Let's let Gary manage us, which will give us a little bit of some kind of reality because they were calling them the Poodles. They're 2 little fucking guys. Don't get me wrong. David's a friend of mine. I don't even know Noble. I can give 2 shits either. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he's a kiss ass. But it don't make a difference to me. I mean, I see David all the time. We're good. There's no problem there. You know what I mean? It's the business. You still got people out there trying to fuck other people. It happens all the time.
Jimmy, let me just swing over on this one. I wanted to share this. I wanted to see what your thoughts are, both you and Chris. The passing of Sabu. Thoughts on Sabu? Share your thoughts and let's just hear it.
I'll go first because I actually saw Sabu Saturday. I was with Sabu Saturday night in Philadelphia. And he died, Sunday?
I think he had a match. I think there
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
match.
He had a signing. I had a match, so they were driving me off at the hotel. I didn't even know it was him. I didn't realize it was him until I got out of the car. I didn't even know it was me because I had a towel over my head. But I noticed he was outside in Philadelphia at the DoubleTree, and I sat outside for about 3 hours, hung out with him. That's what I'm very, very grateful for because we always kept in touch. Every 2 weeks, we would give each other a call just to make sure we're doing okay. I've known Terry for a long time, man. Long time. I mean, I met him in '90s in Japan before ECW. Like I ran back into him in ECW, but I met him in Japan the first time I met him. So he like Scorpio, you know what I mean? We're tight. So yeah, I'm sick, man. I'm pretty really sad about that. Because like I said, he was straight as an arrow, man. He was straight as an arrow when I was with him Saturday. I'm telling you, he was just hanging outside, charging his phone, you know. Because I even told him, I said, I got to go. I said, I'm going to go upstairs take a shower. I said, I got to catch a flight tomorrow morning. I said, you flying out tomorrow morning? We'll take the van together, you know. And he was like, nah, I got to fucking work tomorrow. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I said, all right, well, I said, Monday, when you get home, just hit me up so I know you made it home. He's like, all right, no problem. And then Sunday, like I said, I was sitting on the couch. Somebody made a text. At first, I thought it was bullshit, but fucking sucks, man.
Do you think he just never recovered from the passing of Melissa?
Well,
that broke his heart, man. I mean, it did. But that's why you gotta remember, I knew Melissa too. That's why, and my girl's very good friends with her. That's why we stayed in touch with each other because, God forbid. I mean, when that happened to Melissa, I mean, I was calling him every week or every couple of days just to check in. You know what I mean? Because I know he was hurting. And we put her in the Hall of Fame. Me and Chris, he'll tell you about that. You know, he was very happy about that. He loved. That's why he was down. He told me, he said, yo, you and him are going to be good. It's going to be a good tag team. You know, he knew what we were doing. He knew the plan. You know, he just wanted to make sure it was going to be done right. That's how he is, man. I mean, that's how he was with me anyway.
There's an interesting story behind that, actually. There was, about last year, he was supposed to be inducted into the Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame. And instead, he actually stayed and let us induct Melissa into the Women's Wrestling Hall of Fame. And there's a photo of him and Gary outside the ECW arena. And instead of going to the Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame ceremony, he chose to hang out with us in the back of the ECW arena, and he accepted Melissa's plaque on behalf of Melissa.
Sounds very humble.
Yeah.
Quite
Yeah, he
honestly.
was.
Yeah. He was
Really? Yeah.
he was one of the realest guests we've ever had. I remember being very nervous before we had him on. My partner has said multiple times ECW was my favorite company, and it was there was something about the product that, you know, of course it's remembered for the hardcore, but there was some great wrestling also going on in that company that was also breaking barriers. But I gotta say quickly, Gary, the moment with the halo and Shane Douglas, when I watched it live back in the day. Now I'm in my late 20s at that point, and I'm watching this live. There's not too many things, and we all know that pro wrestling, you do need to suspend your belief to fully embrace what's happening with the performance in the ring. This was one of those moments that I have never felt more uncomfortable watching something. So thank you for doing that to me, because basically I still have a problem watching that. It just looks and feels so painful. And then before the show, Mike is telling me, because I kind of avoid a lot of the talk on the internet. I just got this thing about it. Thank God Mike pays attention. Otherwise, I'm living in a shoebox. But Mike was telling me that there's some heat with you and Shane over this. How real did this get? Can you fill in this Mark sitting on the other end in Wahoo Saloon?
Well, technically, I took the bump wrong. So I have to take responsibility for my neck getting broke. It's not Shane's fault. It was my fault. I took it like a DDT instead of taking it like a Facebook. So I fucked up. It did break. I heard crack. Plus, I was unconscious, man. I mean, I rolled over and I just seen white. You know, I couldn't even, I didn't see anything, man. It just white. But I knew it was weird. It was like I was there, but not. You know what I'm saying? It was very strange. So I just wiggled my hands and my toes and my fingers because that's what I was taught. And I was able to do it. So I just was like, all right, let me wait. Finally, I came to, and then I rolled out, you know. And then I didn't know it was broke until Monday. You know, and the only thing that they could figure out that saved my life or I didn't get paralyzed was the muscle I had on my body. That everything, once it broke, all the muscle just went wham like that, tightened up. So it didn't make the disc didn't move. It just broke in half like a donut. So, you know, they were like freaked out, and you know, I didn't have to get a fusion. Like they didn't have to cut me. I was very, very lucky. I broke the bone, so they said we got to put you in a halo because that's like a cast. You can't move your neck, or it's never going to heal. C1 doesn't, you know, that makes your neck move. Now, right now, my girl will tell you, she sits on the couch. I move my neck this way and that way. Crack, you hear it cracking. It cracks. I have major arthritis, but I mean, I've had it looked at. I mean, it's healed. That disc will never break again, you know. But that shit's like a brick house. You know what I mean? Right now. So I got bad arthritis, but I was very lucky. I mean, that night, people jumped the guardrail, man. That's white heat. What happened that night? Yeah. When he threw me to the ground with that halo, I mean, he thought he got stabbed or shot. He didn't know what. Dude, he punched Ty Gordon in the face. That's how out of his mind because he didn't know what was going on. All he knew was I couldn't see what was going on because I could only look straight up. I couldn't turn my head.
What on earth makes you get back in the ring? I mean, the risk that you and Chris take, what on earth makes you, after something, the way you just described this, listen to this, this was horrendous. What makes you get back in the ring? Is it just the love of what you do? How do you overcome something like that and go, you know what, I'm going to go back in the ring and get back right at it? How does that happen?
I am a very lucky person. I get to do what I love to do and get paid for it. Okay, I am blessed that I'm not paralyzed. I'm blessed that I'm still in shape and capable of doing what we do. Number 3, I'm blessed for Pitbull 3, who's going to make the Pitbulls come back and destroy tag team wrestling and bring it back the way it was. Okay? You know, we were compared to the Steiner brothers, the Road Warriors, Hase and Sasaki. I mean, Hayabusa, Lager. Come on, bro. This is the teams we were compared to. I don't care what anybody says. The Eliminators, Public Enemy, the Gangsters, Strike Force from Canada, the Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs, every tag team we worked with, we made look good. Okay? Yes. I don't care who you are or what you say. Nobody can say anything else. That is the truth. And this tag team is going to be even better. We're going to bring tag team psychology back. I'm a tag team specialist. I'm a single wrestler too. But I'm a tag team specialist. Believe me. What you're going to see is magic in the ring, poetry, emotion. And that's what's going to happen, man.
Chris, let me ask you, are you worried that you cannot hold up the legacy of the ECW Pitbulls and Anthony?
No, I'm not. It's not even about that because Anthony's his own person. I can't be Anthony because Anthony's Anthony. I looked up to Anthony as a kid. So it's like this. I guess the best way to answer that question is, like if you like the Beatles growing up, and then you get to join the Beatles, right? And you're replacing George Harrison. You're not going to be George Harrison, you know? That's the best way I can answer it. I can't really do what he did. There's certain things that him and I are similar with. Yes. Our height, our strength, that type of stuff, and some athletic ability is similar. Yes. But as far as what he did in the ring, as far as what I'm trying to do, it's just a little bit different. I just want to be able to provide something for the team to maintain the legacy. And by no means I could never replace Anthony at all. No. And that's not it. That's one thing I want to be clear with everyone. I never wanted to replace him. I, that's not even. I have. Some people are trying to make it so that they're trying to have some sort of a rivalry, like I'm trying to replace him, and that's not the case. I
No,
look up
that's
to him a
not the
lot.
case.
I look up to him a significant amount. In fact, there's a lot of similarities where he lived. I lived where he passed away. I'll tell you something interesting. I met Gary at the age of 36. 6 years after my world record, he started talking to me. Okay. Anthony passed away at the age of 36 in the town that I grew up in Westerly, Rhode Island. So there's a lot of eerie comparisons to this. Okay. There's a lot of eerie similarities, and I've done a lot of soul searching with this. Like, is this the right thing to do? I've even spoken to his family saying, listen, this is what's going on. Are you guys okay with this? And they've said yes, and they've expressed that yes, because I didn't want to do this just like, okay, we're going to do this, and that's that. There's got to be a certain form of respect that one has to give to the person that did establish this team. And that's why, if you see on this vest that me and Gary we wear, we put the number 2 here. We walk out with his flag with his face on it. So I'm just a different type of wrestler, but I can do similar things that he can do. Yeah, but I'm a different person. Um, I guess I don't know if that's the best way I can explain
It's a
that.
good, Chris. That's a great answer. Butterflies in the beginning when you first were teaming up with Gary. You got to be like, oh my God, right?
Right. So what we did, and he did it the right way. We had tested it out. I would walk Gary to the ring with the flag. I'd walk Gary out for the past year and a half to see what people would think, and also to be introduced to people in the locker room. Like Nunzio was the first person I spoke to about this. Um, that was outside of the Pitbull realm, and he said same thing. He knew me from prior. Um, Shane Douglas has been very helpful too. Blue Meanie, very supportive. Um, One person that very kind human being. I'd love to introduce you to her. Named Lacey Trailer. That's Ray Trailer's daughter, and very nice person. And I looked up to Big Boss Man, all the big men, all the big moves. I've tried to emulate because I'm not a technical wrestler. I could try, but I'm not that good at it. But those are the guys I looked up to. But Brian Blair too, Killer B, you know, and again, I want to do it right. I don't want to do it in a superficial way because, as a fan, right, I'm trying to also see it as a fan too. And I made this comparison prior to us talking. Like, there was Curly in the Three Stooges, and then they tried to replace him with Curly Joe.
Ugh.
Not good. Not
No,
good. They should have
no,
just. And I don't want to be Curly Joe, so
no,
I'm trying to take
no.
that mindset too.
I gotta tell you,
Yeah.
I can't get away from these Three Stooges comments every show.
No,
Three
it
Stooges
bothers
come up,
me,
unreal.
Mike.
It
Well, didn't they
follows
use
me.
Shemp? Didn't they use Shemp next?
Shemp
They
was
did have
great.
Shemp
Shemp's
prior.
underrated. He's underappreciated, Shemp.
Yeah.
Shemp is fantastic.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
know.
And on a music analogy, guys, I was thinking this too, Chris. Use this because Peter Criss was the man in Kiss, but you know what? Eric Carr was pretty damn good, and he was nothing like
was.
Peter.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, and the two, Eric and Peter were actually friends too. And like,
Yeah,
and
geez,
I was
imagine
even,
that.
and I was even thinking, yeah, Eric was invited to Peter Chris's wedding.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anthony, let me ask you, Gary, let me ask you this. As far as Anthony goes, I know you guys were partners and you were probably close as brothers. We all know how he passed away. How upsetting was that to you? And how were you angry with Anthony?
Oh man.
I was angry about the whole situation because I didn't know he passed away. I just heard something on the news about a gunshot. That's what I had heard. So I just went to the gym with my girl, and somebody came up to me and said, yo, I'm sorry about what happened to your partner. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, he passed away. And I'm like, what? So I stopped working out, went home, put the news on, came back on, and said 2 people passed away. One was a professional wrestler. Kids were left in the house because nobody really, like, it happened, and it took like 2 or 3 days before finally somebody went over there and said, yo, what's up? And that's what happened. And he's very, their family's very Italian, very, religious, his dad barely speaks English, and saying what happened, it could be against their religion. So, I mean, I was at the funeral. It was very, very stressful, very crazy, man. It wasn't a good thing. It was very bad. And
Gary, would I be out of
he
line?
was in Connecticut at that time. I was in New Jersey at that time. So it wasn't like, something happened. We weren't in Philly at that time. We both left Philadelphia. You know what I'm saying? And he was taking a break. I was going to Japan, Puerto Rico. I was doing what I had to do. You know what I'm saying? And then, we're just sitting at home, and Joe from the Road Warriors called me up. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing, man. Just chilling out, What else is there to do, He's like, well, in a couple of weeks, about 3 weeks, we're going to do a show in Connecticut, and we want to work you guys. Me and Mike. And I was like, absolutely. I said, let me call up Anthony real quick, and I'll get right back to you. So I called Ann up, and I said, listen, how you doing? How you feeling? What's going on? And he told me, he was working at the casino doing hard count, which is a great workout in itself. Plus, he was working out, so he got back in shape. He took some time off. I said, okay, come down and see me. So he came down from Connecticut, came to New Jersey. I saw him. He looked phenomenal shape. He was 235, man, with abs. He looked on. You know what I'm saying? So I said, all right, I got good news. The Road Warriors want to use us. We're going to work against them. And it's in Connecticut, so I guarantee it's for fucking Vince or somebody. You know what I mean? If it ain't for Vince, somebody from Vince is going to be there. Put it that way. So we were like, screw it. Let's do it. So within those 2 weeks, Anthony passed, and then the next week, Mike passed.
Yeah.
So tell me how weird that is, bro.
Gary, would I be out of line to ask you, me and Jimmy are just fans, and you only hear what you read, and that's all the truth.
Nice.
Did Anthony have a drug problem, or was this just an accidental overdose, or was this a double suicide? Like, do you know anything about this at all?
They kept it extremely secret. I personally think that he did get clean, and then I think he got something, and I think it was bad because the way they found him, she was on the ground and he was on top of her. You know what I'm saying? But then again, I also heard rumors that she wanted to take the kids and move back to Philadelphia, and believe me, he ain't gonna let that happen. So him pulling out a gun and shooting her and himself doesn't surprise me in the least bit. You know what I'm saying? He could have done that. And then that's why I'm saying their family. So, you know, if you commit suicide, you don't go to heaven. You know, if you're an Italian and you're Catholic, you know what I'm saying? So who's to know? I'm his partner and I still don't know what happened. You know what I mean? I'll be perfectly honest.
Well,
I'm just trying to keep the legacy alive. You know, I got stuff coming up. I got stuff, you know, that are brewing, and the kids are going to get money. You know, the kids are going to get a portion of that money for those action figures. You know, they're going to get a portion of that money for the T-shirts. You know what I mean? They're going to get something.
Do you still keep in touch with the kids?
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't talk to the kids. I'm tight with Anthony's brother, Ciro. So I stay in touch with him and I talk to him because he adopted the kids.
Yep.
When they passed, Ciro turned around and adopted Anthony's kids, and they lived with him.
Gotcha. Guys, what is it about this business that there's such a long list of grief, of untimely demises, no matter what it may be? Is it just professional wrestling itself? Because sometimes to me, professional wrestling almost mirrors the rock music business back when we were younger. You know, the touring, town to town, flight to flight, car to car. As John Lennon so poetically described, how's Beatlemania been? He said a car, a window, a car, a window. What
That's
is
how it is.
Is it the lifestyle? What causes so many of the wrestlers to pass away at such a young age or an untimely demise? And do you grow indifferent to it over the years? Like it's got to make you numb.
You got to understand something. We're not the NFL.
Yeah.
We're not the NHL.
No.
Okay, we get concussions on a regular basis, and then you got guys that are working 365 days a year. Okay, that's even harder than a band. Okay, believe me, when I was in Japan in 1990, who did I run into? 9 Inch Nails.
Okay.
They were touring Japan. They were paying their dues.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They were working their asses off. That ain't no joke, Japan.
Right.
So, you know, they gave us fucking tickets. We had off the next day. They were fucking cool as hell. But they're working their asses off. So, I mean, come on, man. That just tells you right there. I mean, shit.
Chris,
You
what
want
are your thoughts, Chris?
I'll give you my honest opinion on it. So, like, again, it's taken me probably 2 years to get to this point, right? Just to get to this point. I was
Right.
already trained prior, but I went down south, and I got refreshed up by like WWE Hall of Famer Jimmy Valiant, who helped me significantly because I wasn't even in my own mental state of mind ready for this. Because say you take a booking, right? I'm talking about it through more of a lower, more independent level standpoint. And
Okay.
say you have no clout. Say you
Right.
have no clout.
Right.
Well, now promoter's going to mess with you because he doesn't care. Okay. So your life doesn't matter to him or her or whoever's in charge. Okay. So there's that aspect. Then you got a second aspect. Then you got all these other people saying stuff or doing stuff and talking all sorts of toxic crap. And that affects you then getting more bookings and moving ahead, and they suppress you even more. So right there, you got an even more toxic atmosphere, and there is no HR department. So from someone in my situation, which is more people in my situation than in Gary's situation, uh, why is it there's so many early deaths and suicides and God knows what? It's because of the people in charge at times will pound it in your head that you're nothing, and then that's why. Okay, mentally that you can easily crack. Plus you're getting injured. Plus you're getting underappreciated. Not saying hey, whatever, but still, you're not treated well.
And you got to also remember, you don't get a night off.
No.
You have to wrestle her. You know, I mean, 99% of the time, every guy that's out there has an injury. Something's bothering. I don't care what it is. It's the truth. Especially if you're working 6 nights a week. You know, there's a guarantee. You know what I mean? It's guaranteed. And you really can't do anything about it. You just have to like toughen it up, go out there and work. That's what we're trained to do. That's why our bodies are different than a normal person's body. You know, we can get slammed on the concrete and get up and turn around and smile. We pick up a normal person on the street, body slam him on the ground. He ain't getting up.
No.
He's not going to get up. I mean, I'll bet you $500 he will not get up. So
Give
there's a
someone a hip
big
toss.
difference. Yeah, there's a big difference there. I mean, gotta remember when I was hitting the ropes. When I first started hitting the ropes, man, I'd be black and blue. My whole side, my whole entire lat, black and blue. And to me, it was just, we just had to go through it. And so eventually it disappeared and it never came back. You know what I'm saying? So it's weird how
Gary,
your body changes to become a wrestler.
How would you describe the current independent scene? Because I'm only speaking for me and Mike. Look, we've been passionate wrestling fans for about 50 years each, both of us. And, we've definitely loved and understood the territories back in the days and watched plenty of it when we could on UHF or TBS or wherever we had access to it. So then we started to try to check out the local New York, Long Island scene for independent wrestling. And it looked like to me the most brutal shitstorm. And I'm just speaking about what we witnessed. It seems like these guys are getting paid shit to just kill themselves. Hopefully, I'm assuming it's better for you. But how would you describe the independent scene today for the average everyday wrestler who's just trying to break in? Which I don't obviously subscribe to you and Pitbull 3 here. But what about the average guy who's just trying to get started, trying to get into the independent scene?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. They need to bring back the commissions. They need a commissioner
State
because
athletic.
it's out of control. Like New Jersey, anybody could just put a show on and just, you know what I mean, rent a place and
No
what do
insurance.
they draw? They draw 20 people.
They do it for
You know what
ego
I'm
boost.
saying? It's like, I'm not going to lie to you. I go to Ohio for Classic Championship Wrestling for Jimmy Hines from the Fantastics, Bobby Fulton. I mean, he draws 7,000 to 8,000 people. That's a beautiful house, to wrestle in front of. You know what I'm saying? But then, like I said, you have all these independents. Then I moved to Florida. I didn't know what was going on in Florida. They got these shows called mud shows.
Mud shows?
They're done outside. It's 90-degree weather. These motherfuckers bring tents. They get dressed underneath their tent. They chill out under the tent so they're out of the sun. I'm like, where the hell am I? Like, this is crazy. Like, I opened up the back of my Yukon and used that as a locker room, one day.
Oh my God.
And I got dressed, and I sat there and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm in Florida now. You know what I'm saying? So everything's different, but they don't want to bring guys in. That's why Veterans Pro Wrestling, autism awareness, what we're doing, me and Chris also, first responders, veterans, we're taking care. We're going to bring wrestling back to West Florida and make it fun again for people to love it and have a blast.
And we're also involving. So what Gary's trying to say also is, so him and I are starting up, I'm relaunching my old promotion, which was Veteran Pro Wrestling. Veteran Pro Wrestling was founded by several veterans. My father is a U.S. Navy Vietnam veteran. Mike Foley, who was a United States Marine veteran, he had passed away shortly after my first show I ever did in 2014. This is way before I ever met Gary. And we did a couple years, and we would do the VFW circuits. We helped this one gentleman who was a volunteer firefighter. He partially broke his neck. We raised about $4,000 for him. His name's Jim Sakowitz, and we're just bringing that back to go to Florida because again, it's a nice It's a nice when something's done right, it can be so great. But the problem is, it's like what Gary's expressing. The commissions, there needs to be some sort of a form of discipline behind who can run shows.
Structure.
Structure.
Yeah, there's no structure no more.
Right.
The boys, the guys that are in the locker room are running the asylum now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's
Yeah.
happening. I mean, I was told by guys that work for AEW that are producers that actually told me, Gary, no bullshit. I tell these guys what to do, and they look at me and say, I know what I'm doing. I'll be able to get the finish done. You know, and he's like, look, you got 3 minutes to do it, but you want to do all this. And he's like, I'll get all that in. And he's like, no, you're not. You're not going to be able to get it, but they don't want to hear it. This is what they told me. He goes, so they go and do what they want to do.
Well, Chris, you're a vet, right?
No. I was a former first responder. I still am a volunteer, but that's when we created Veteran Pro. We had it so it was first responders and veterans involved, as well as veteran pro wrestlers.
Gotcha.
Also the metaphor behind it. But yes.
So you guys are talking about leadership, right? So if I had to ask you, Gary, you worked for Vince for a short time. You worked for Paul Lee. You worked for numerous promoters. Why do you think Vince McMahon is the greatest promoter of all time? Is it due to his leadership and his lack of allowing bullshit to be held around him?
Structure.
No, he's the one that came up with the idea to use VHS tapes and put them on cable and put them on all the cable networks and buy out Georgia Championship Wrestling and buy out all these companies so he could grab their number one talent and bring them to his, the East Coast. That was his idea. I mean, listen, he paid $1 million from the company when he bought it from his father, and he just sold it for $9.1 billion.
Well, I guess my question to you, though, is his leadership also what made that organization? I mean, you worked for Heyman. How was Heyman as a leader compared to Vince McMahon as a leader?
Oh, that's apples and oranges, man. I mean, Heyman, okay. Paul would be like, look, Gary, this is what I want done. This is how I want it to end, and this is how I want the ending to be. Now, do what you do best and make this happen. Okay? Go for it. Okay? This is how I want it to turn out. So you do what you got to do to get it to turn this out this way. Okay? So we had a lot to do with every storyline you saw, everything that you've seen happen in that arena. We all had our 75 cents to put in that. Okay? Now, Vince McMahon would be like, here's a script, and this is what you're going to do. You're not going to say anything that comes to mind in your head. You're going to say everything that they said. And you're going to do everything they say to do. Yeah. Oh, Paul was better because he let us use our talent to make us who we were. I mean, come on, man. Look at how he made Mikey Whipwreck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at that, bro. I dropped the TV title to him. They tag him up with Cactus Jack. Next thing you know, he's got the tag belts, the TV belt, and he's walking out to that song, I'm a Loser, baby. You know what I'm saying? And the people loved it.
Don't forget the T-shirt. Don't forget the T-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, come on. That's just one thing, man. That's just one thing. I mean, how about when Kurt Angle was there begging to get a job? And they crucified fucking Sandman. That motherfucker took off. That gold medalist took off and ran out the back door so fast.
Oh, my God. Where am I? I need a glass of milk.
Oh, my God. He's like, give me a glass of milk. Holy shit, man. He's like, they're over there cruising. I mean, Raven had to go out and apologize, but, Paul didn't know we were going to do that. That's something that, Paul wanted it to turn out a certain way. And, Raven is another genius, okay, no doubt. And you got to remember, I was with Raven every single day, me and my partner. Okay, he lived on South Street with the doctor from ECW and a friend of ours named Big Tommy Big Arms, we called him. He used to bounce at the clubs and stuff.
I believe it. With a name like
So,
that, I believe it.
Yeah, so they would live on South Street, which was a popular street in Philly. So I was only 7 blocks away. Anthony was like 11 blocks away. He was on 11th Street. I was on 7th. So we would sometimes we'd ride our bikes to Raven's house. Then he would jump on a bike, believe it or not, and we would ride our bikes to 22nd and Sampson, which was 12 blocks from Todd Gordon's office, and we would work out at World Gym because World Gym sponsored me and Anthony, so they let us train for free, and it was great. I mean, Bill Goldberg would come, the limo would pull up, he'd get out, come in, hang out with us. It was cool, man, because we were friends with everybody, because we were eventually going to WCW. I was going to go with Raven and be in the flock, because Anthony was taking a break, but I ended up hurting my knee, and I stayed. Yeah, I stayed, and I waited, and then Ant came back, and then they called us anyway, and we were set to go. I actually met them. I was on a phone call with Terry Taylor, Eric Bischoff, Diamond Dallas Page, Raven, and Kevin Sullivan, all 5 of them. Rick Rude was in the back screaming. They were on what's his name, a jet, and they were coming to Philly. They're like, meet us at the Spectrum. We want to talk to you. It's time, right? And we're like, no problem. I said, listen, we hung out in ECW the longest out of anybody. I said, we gave him our 2 weeks, so he can't say we left him in the dust. And we put Taz over in the pay-per-view just to make Taz look bigger and stronger. And believe me, they called us. I mean, Taz called me every single day before that pay-per-view because he was wondering, are we going to beat the shit out of him? Because I was still selling my neck. I was better, but they had me selling my neck anyway because they wanted to put Anthony versus him.
So, but wait a minute, Taz was actually scared that you were going to beat the shit out. You guys just going to on the way out just beat the living shit out of him.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude. Because this is what he said to me. He's like, listen, I don't want you to get pissed off if it's a 2-minute match or if it's a 20-minute match. I said, now that I knew this would always piss him off. I say, Pete, not Taz. I say, Pete, listen, man. I say, listen, I don't care if I'm working 2 minutes or I'm working 20 minutes. I'm getting paid the same. I don't give a shit. It's all good, bro. Relax. He called me every night. Okay, so we get to the building, and we already, told him we're leaving. You know what I mean? And then we're doing a good business. We're going on pay-per-view, and we're gonna make Taz look good. I mean, come on. I did 3 angles with him and beat him 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. Anthony did a little angle with him, but honestly, the whole time in ECW, I beat him everywhere, till they turned to Taz. And then in that run, he was more successful. But when he was the Tasmanian Devil, come on, man, I was destroying him. And he knew it. He wanted revenge for that, I guess. And I remember we were in the back of the locker room. And he, Paul, was like, all right, everybody line up, boom, 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 Taz, Gary, same thing you guys have been doing. And I remember saying, nope, ain't going to happen tonight, brother. And he just looked at me. And I said, bro, you throw me on my head every night. I can't do it no more. I said, come up with a different finish, man. Come up with a different finish. So he came up with that Taja Namada, whatever it's called, that
Transmission.
Yeah, that it's a sumo move.
Yeah.
And he used that as a finish because, like I said, I'd go with it, man, but he kept throwing me on my head, and enough was enough, you know.
So it was actually truly a reckless, dangerous move back in the day. I did not realize that. Oh boy.
Oh, that half Nelson suplex, belly to back, half Nelson suplex is fucking dangerous, bro.
Ouch. Well, it looks dangerous. I just didn't realize he was actually hurting you most of the time because you guys sold everything so well. So,
listen, he broke his neck too. I mean, he broke his neck too.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you saw it, but Scorpio pretty luckily,
yep.
he was almost dead, man. I mean, it was bad. It looked bad, put it that way.
Gary, speaking of all this, right? All you guys who sacrificed yourselves for the ECW dream.
Oh yeah.
And for most of you, you know, it didn't work out so great, right? You ended up falling back to the independents, but our boy Paul Heyman ends up moving to WWE, and he becomes a multi-millionaire.
He's just an advocate. Go on.
Do you think he owes a bunch of you guys and even Todd Gordon a little something here at this point?
Yeah. Well, we feel that way.
But I mean, you got to realize people are not as giving as they should be, you know. So, you know, I mean, if he put $1 million aside and said, "Look, you know what I mean? Here, distribute this to the guys I owe money to," and that ain't gonna hurt him. You know what I'm saying? And that'd be the right thing to do. But he's not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it depends what kind of person you are. I don't think he's that kind of a person. That's why we actually stood him up the last night we worked for him at that pay-per-view in Pittsburgh with going against Taz. I remember, you know, I looked at Anthony and I said, you know, he's going to pay us tonight, and we're not getting that money in 90 days. You know that, right? And Ant looked at me and said, "What do you think?" And I said, well, I said, we're going to put our foot down and tell them, look, you're going to pay us for tonight. You're also going to pay us our pay-per-view percentage. Okay, we're going to come up with a percentage that's close to what they normally are. So you may be lucking out. You know, you may be paying us less. But you're going to give us that money now because I know in 90 days when you get your check, you're not going to have my money. I'm telling you, the dude turned pale, man. Paul Heyman looked at me and paleness, you know, and Taz was behind us, and I could see him like in the corner of my eye, you know, I could see his face too, just like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like, uh-oh, now it's coming. Because we weren't going to do that. We weren't going to hold him up and do that kind of shit, but once we started thinking about it and we started noticing the way he was treating us, that's when we said, you know, this is how it's going to be. You know, it was like 3 or 4 hours before the show even started. So it wasn't like he couldn't do what he had to get done. It's just that we had to put our foot down and say, look, you know, we've been loyal to you, and we just have a strange feeling we're going to get screwed, and we don't want that to happen, like so-and-so, 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 and so-and-so. I mean, I know guys that he owes $20,000 still. So they're probably never going to see that money.
I'm not trying to get dirt sheet shit. I just want to ask you this: is Paul Heyman just not a good guy?
No, I can't say that, man, because Paul, he was cool with me. I can't say he's a bad dude, man. He's just, this is our business. You know, it's a cutthroat business. Yeah. It's just like any other sport, man. You know, there's guys playing football that can't wait for, say, their second string defensive end. You know, they can't wait for that first string guy to go down so they can get in there. Okay? That's what it comes down to, man. It's our business, you know. And now with this new generation, it's even more a cutthroat business than it was before. Okay, in the 80s, when I would be in the locker room in the 80s, they didn't even have a drug test yet. Okay, they weren't even being tested. These guys are walking around doing whatever they want to do. It was insanity. I remember going there for 3 days, coming back. I went to Niagara Falls, drove back 8 hours. went to school Monday and was like, holy shit, now I know how to work, number one. Number two, these guys are fucking, this is like a rock concert. Like, this is like insanity here. Like, this is like, I'm telling you, back then, the nuts were running the insane asylum back then. You know what I mean? No bullshit. You know, that's how it was. It's crazy. But
Chris.
like I said, it was a good way of learning. And you know what I mean? I got to meet a lot of people, and that's the whole idea about the business, you know, that's missing is respect right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to walk in every single locker room and say hello to everybody. And I still do today. And I go up to a main event and I say, thank you for the house, you know, because that's the right thing to do. That's what I was taught to do, you know, but they don't do that no more. You know, I go to some shows and these kids just started wrestling, and you know, I'm expecting them to come up, shake my hand, introduce me, look me in the eye, man. I can watch your match and tell you what you did wrong. You know, maybe give you an idea, help you out. You know what I mean? I got 40 years in the business. I think I know something by now. You know what I'm saying? So this is what puts food on the table for me. I mean, so I take it very seriously. You know what I mean? When it comes to especially tag teams. That's why Chris understands, you know, he's brought to the tag team for a reason. Okay, there's a reason why everybody's in a tag team. You know, there's quickness, there's agility, and then there's strength. You understand? And then there's the whole thing together from one end to the other. It's putting it all together, you know? So, you know, we have the agility, now we have the strength. You know what I'm saying? It just comes together. You know what I'm saying? And then now we go together. Believe me, he's a power lifter. He picks up them Atlas balls like nothing, bro.
Yeah,
he's in the Guinness Book of Records. He broke a world record.
Well, no, I'm not in the Guinness, but I did pull a 3,000-pound SUV.
Yeah, I saw you doing that. You're out of your freaking mind, by the way. What? Oh my God, that must have hurt. Chris,
he likes to lift things and throw them down.
Apparently
that's
so.
perfect. To be a pit bull, that's perfect.
Yeah, thank goodness we're friends. I mean, my God. Chris, how's the reception been so far for you with the independent fans? You know, after all, it is big shoes to fill, and you're going to be doing it your way. How's the reception been, and where are you at on your comfort level at this point with the team? Do you feel like, okay, I'm good, let me just go do my thing? Like, where are you at right now, and how's the reception been?
It took a minute because I needed to also figure out who I was. Okay, and that was that good 6 months of me going on the indies scene and being on some lower end shows to get humbled, because there were moments where I'm like, do I really want this? Because man, there was some shows in Tennessee I was like, whoa. Yeah.
And he did different gimmicks, so it was good for. I told him I want him to go do different gimmicks and learn the experience as a baby face, and then pull a heel out of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you remember the Pit Bulls, the way we are is we can go heel, we can go face. We're natural heels. It's what it comes down to. As a baby face, we're not going to change our style of wrestling. It's always going to be the same. And you know what I'm saying? And that's what it comes down to. People like it, like the Road Warriors, the Steiners. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? That's why they put us in that category.
Well, it's really booking at the end of the day. You guys were shit kickers. And if you do shit kickers correctly, you can't do no wrong because they're shit kickers. Whether they're kicking the shit out of the good guys, boo, or the bad guys, yay.
Hey,
right?
You were at the arena. You heard the chant, shit. Bulls, shit bulls. That's what some nights they would call us shit bulls. And we went with it. We didn't care, you know, and then some nights they would cheer for us. I mean, when Rick Rude brought me back from a broken neck, the pounce on Shane Douglas, the roof came off that night.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't care what anybody says, that was the biggest pop that building has ever had. Period.
Were you scared? Were you scared for your life when all those fans hit the ring?
Oh God!
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah, I thought I didn't. I've never. That's called white heat. That's only happened maybe twice in the business, and that was the second time.
What, like the other one with Ox Baker back in the day?
Yeah,
with
where
the hard
people
punch?
actually jumped over the guardrail and
Yeah.
like that happened like in the
Right.
territory of the Von Erichs and shit, you know, in
Yeah.
Texas. They would jump over the guardrail and attack people, and you know what I mean? That's called white heat.
Oof.
And to be able to accomplish that at the arena was phenomenal. I mean, Shane Douglas to this day will tell you he thought he was stabbed or shot. He ran through that locker room so fast. I remember Tommy Dreamer's face was just like, oh my God, like what just happened? Like, I mean, the police were out there. It was insanity, man. It was just, they jumped in the car, he said, and when he jumped in the car, he started going like this because his adrenaline was flowing. So if he got stabbed, he wouldn't have felt it. You know what I'm saying? Especially us wrestlers. Our pain tolerance is way, way, way high. So he actually was scared to death. He thought he was stabbed because people were punching him and hitting him, and I mean, it was insane. It was insanity. When I watch it to this day, it just freaks me out, you know, because luckily I took the bump the right way. Because if I took a regular back bump, it wouldn't have meant as much if I didn't fall to one knee and then fall down the way I fell. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well,
So
Gary,
you got to remember the fans at the ECW arena are not regular fans. They're smart marks. You cannot bullshit them because they will call you out on it.
Yes, they will.
well, one thing, Gary, I got to tell you, you took some bumps for Monte the Pharaoh today. I was at work today, and I got a
Oh
call
God.
that the guy that's been on the show a few times, the PI James Terry, called me saying that a producer called the great Gary Wolfe as Monte the Pharaoh if I didn't know about it. And it ended up being, you know, again, in this podcasting world, the broadcasting world, Monte the Pharaoh had more than enough haters. So Gary took some shrapnel. So Gary, I'm going to give you a minute to send a message to Terry for his little phone call to you. And as part of my greeting
You gotta understand, Terry, I'm gonna say he's a special person. So you understand what that means. So I think we should do a GoFundMe for him.
Oh.
Because I mean, you know, I don't like to say, you know, certain words, you know what I mean? Like, you know, fucking retard. I don't want to say that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say that. So, you know, he has maybe HDHD, whatever it's called, ADHD, and I think we should do a GoFundMe with you guys, especially how over you guys are on the podcast world. And he told me he was a wrestler and he wrestled some very, very important people, and I believe him. You know, I'm not going to say I don't believe him, you know, because, you know, so you never know. I mean, you guys saw the Rain Man. I mean, that dude could go to the casino and clean house. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know how. I'll take him to the Hard Rock with me if he's that good. Let's find out, you know. But let's go fund me. I think we should do a GoFundMe, and that will help him. And especially since he wants to be a what's he a investigator?
He's private.
A private investigator.
let me ask you, how much money would people donate if we use this picture for his GoFundMe?
Well, I mean, he looks like he needs help. I mean, I have a PI that lives right next to me, so I got his phone number. I mean, I'm sure it'll be no problem whatsoever getting his address. I mean, that goes without saying. So I think we should definitely go fund him and make a couple of dollars for him, and I'll be happy to drop it off at his house, and and I'll give it to him because
I'm sure you will.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll even give him your podcast is so over. You should make a hat, and we'll give him a hat from you guys, you know, and they'll have a brand new baseball hat, and you know that, you know, he'll probably be happy because he's probably bald. You know, he probably got one of them Costanza looks, you know. See this? I still got hair. My hair's still long, man. You know what I'm saying? So You know, and Pitbull 3, I mean, he's got a shaved head like Anthony, so it don't matter. You know, Anthony lost his in Japan, though. He got ribbed. So it's better.
I actually think Pitbull 1 and Pitbull 3. I'll give you his personal number. You guys should call him and, you know, just see if you can meet up and have a conversation. Do you think this guy would be interested in that? I'm not so sure.
You got to understand something. That's what he wants. He just wants to talk to somebody. I mean, I think we should put it out there for the fans because he did say he wrestled some good guys, so I'm pretty sure he may know some people. You know what I'm saying? And,
Yeah,
but I think we should definitely go fund me for him. You know, like I told you, you know, you can't say that word, but, you know, he needs a little help, you know what I mean? And I'm all for that, you know. Like I said, I mean, Veterans Pro Wrestling, autism awareness, you know, I'm for everything. So, yeah, we'll help this guy out, man. I think we should.
Well, with that, I want to thank the great Gary Wolfe and Pitbull number 3, Chris Anino. What an honor, Chris.
Yes,
I'm so glad that you're going to live your dream and be part of one of the greatest tag teams of all time. I think you guys are going to do wonderfully. At this point, we hand it over to Pharaoh, where it's called the Pharaoh's Final Question.
Real quick, though. Remember, it's the Pitbulls 13, 1 and 3. Imagine it now. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yes.
What does the 13 mean? Bad luck.
And Gary, before that question from Pharaoh, please promote your book one more time. For where can fans get your book?
You guys and everybody, go to Amazon, go to Prime, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Pitbull Unleashed. It is number 5 today. Let's get it up. I want to get number 1. Okay, that's what I want. It's going to be a tough thing, but I think it can be done. Everybody shout out. Be ready. The Pitbulls are coming 2025. You can't stop it. The Mad Dogs of War are here, and it's over. Every tag team, especially the Billington boys in England, I'm calling you guys out, and this is the second time I brought it up. I want yous, just like we had the British Bulldogs back in 88 and 89. It's time to do it all over again. And the Pitbulls, Mad Dogs of War are ready. I don't care if it's a regular tag match or a 6-man. We're ready for it. It doesn't make a difference. Everybody look out. Pitbull out.
All right. Well, you know what, Mike? We don't have Gary Wolfe in studio every day, so give me, and I know it's commonplace with the Mount Rushmore stuff, but hey, I've got you here. Give me the Mount Rushmore, the top 4 of ECW.
You asking me this?
Oh, yes, I am, Pitbull. That's what I'm asking. Yeah. Yep.
All right, I'm going to go with Sabu, of course. Rob Van Dam. Got to go with Raven because he was so smart.
One more.
No? Oh, no, Ted. Yeah.
Sandman?
It would be between Sandman and Ted Petty. And I know Sandman would say Ted Petty.
All
But
right.
I mean, honestly, I would have to say Sandman.
I can live with that.
That would
works.
be my 4 on the ECW Mount Rushmore.
That was painful, huh? Sorry about that. Didn't mean to cause such.
No, it wasn't painful. It's just you got to remember Ted Petty was the cheetah kid. You know, he helped train a lot of guys from New Jersey, and that's why Gorilla Monsoon liked us because he was from New Jersey. So it worked out perfect.
And Petty was a real tough guy, right? He was a real deal.
Oh
tough
yeah,
guy.
brother. He was a Golden Glove boxer, man. He boxed for the Mafia, man. He was a boxer. He told me some stories, man. He could fight, man. He was a professional fighter. Okay, then he got into the wrestling business, and he was unbelievable wrestler as a Cheetah Kid. I mean, look up the Cheetah Kid, bro. You'll see some amazing matches. It'll blow your mind. He was like a tiger mask, Dynamite Kid.
Amazing. All right, guys, I want to thank you again for joining us. Jimmy, you want to send us out? God bless you guys. Gary, Chris, thank you again. It's been an honor to have you on Monte the Pharaoh. Pharaoh.
You've been
gents.
watching Monte and the Pharaoh with Pitbull 1 and Pitbull 3. And until shortly with Eddie Mansfield, oh boy, stay tuned. Later.